Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike here, taking a look at the DRF race of the day. It's Thursday, July the 25th, and it's race number 9. It's Saratoga. Here's the field for the Grade 3 Caress Stakes. We're going 5.5 furlongs into 200 grander for fillies and mares. It is an overflow field. The 11 Star Guest isn't also eligible. If she gets in, she's a strong contender. Hot Fudge, the 12, the 13, and the 14, they're all entered main track only. Well, it's the rematch from the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival, Mike. Roses for Deborah versus Future Is Now versus Coffee Maker. They finished less than a half length apart in that race.
They all ran well in there, Dan. Roses for Deborah was a pretty big favorite, and she couldn't quite get there. I don't want to take anything away from Future Is Now because she won the race, and I thought she won it fair and square. I wonder if Roses for Deborah is going to be able to turn the tables on her this time. It seems like they'll bet the race that way, but I don't know. I didn't see Roses for Deborah's excuse in that race. Did you?
Not really. It looked like she had her fair chance in the stretch. She maybe ran out of real estate. We'll look at it a little bit later, but we'll first throw up our Timeform US pace projector. Roses for Deborah is very tactical. She's likely to sit in the second flight. Coffee Maker is a pure speed. Future Is Now has learned to rate in her last couple of starts, so I think this is just about right. I think Coffee Maker is probably the main speed. I think Future Is Now is going to try to break running, and if at all possible, Paco Lopez maybe gets her to the outside.
Yeah, maybe try to just get the same trip that he gave her last time, Dan, where Coffee Maker beat her to the lead, and she was fine sitting off that horse for most of the trip, and then gamely getting the job. I'm with you. I'm not going to argue with this pace projector at all.
Now, the number 1, Kerry, was very sharp last time out. I'm not sure she's able to make the lead in here, but she has won from off the pace. Let's watch Kerry's most recent start. First level allowance. She went right to the front as the favorite, stepped the opening quarter 22-2, then put him away with a second quarter and 22-1, and she's still fairly strong under the line. Now a big step up in class.
Big step up in class here. I mean, she had all the best of it against this field and just never really gave him a chance. And it's a good performance. She's a pretty good horse overall, but she's never sort of shown herself to be a stakes horse, and this is a huge step up in class.
The 2 Secret Money is rock solid coming into this race off of a runner-up effort in the Grade 3 Royal North. Taking a look at Secret Money that day, she has a chance turning into the stretch. She's going to end up finishing second once she gets to the outside and in the clear. The winner of this race came back to run third in a graded stakes synthetic race over the Tapete up at Woodbine with a 90 buyer. I think she's solid. 5.5 shouldn't be a problem. She's run well at this distance in the past.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I mean, she runs fine in here. You can see though, she's got a pretty clear shot to win this race, and she's just going to sort of flatten out at the end. I actually feel like 6.5 probably worked against her in that race. Then I like her going shorter in this race. Trips are very important to her though. She's going to have to work out a clean one from the inside, but I think if she gets a clean shot through the stretch in here, I think she can win here. She's going to be a fair price.
I was a fan of Future Is Now when she began her career in the Mid-Atlantic area, but the Maryland bred I never knew was this good. She won the very one at Pimlico over kind of a wet turf course on May the 11th, and then backed that race up in this spot, the Intercontinental, where she beat Roses for Deborah and Coffee Maker. Coffee Maker up the long layoff has the lead. Roses for Deborah is going to get to her on the outside now. Future Is Now is in the black silks in between. Future Is Now is very game, beat 4 of the same rivals she will face on Thursday.
Very game in this race, going to get the job. That's Roses for Deborah, the gray sort of bearing down, but she can't make up any ground until it's too late. Now she's going to close with a rush here, and she's not going to get there. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Future Is Now here. I thought she won that race fair and square. You mentioned the very one, 2 back end. That was sort of the coming out party for her. She showed she can rate and still run. She got a figure for it, and she improved last time.
Coffee Maker, the number 4. We just saw her run a game third in the Intercontinental, especially game considering it was her first start since October. So she had to deal with a lengthy layoff. Wesley Ward has always liked this horse. He tried her against the boys 2 starts back in her final start of 2023. She's going to be on the lead in here, and if they don't respect her, she could take this field a long way. She is going to have to improve second off the bench, and something tells me Wesley had her ready to fire last time.
I kind of feel the same way. I still thought she ran really well in there. She was dead game in the stretch there. He runs her so infrequently, Dan. It'll be interesting to see if she can maybe take a little bit of a step forward here. Not that she necessarily has to. We'll see how comfortable she gets on the early lead. The thing is, I do think she'll make the lead. I'm not sure how big of an advantage is because the 2 horses that she's going to have to beat again are going to be sitting right off her again.
Dance Macabre, the number 5, is very underrated, going out for an extremely underrated trainer. She's hit the board in all 10 lifetime starts. I really like the way she won the Glen Cove 2 starts back. Great ride from Adam Beschizza, who was able to save ground in mid-pack and just sort of weave his way through in between horses with Dance Macabre, and she was a comfortable winner under the line. Last time it was the Autumn Days Stakes, and Dance Macabre was wired. She came with a little bit of a late run. She also got beat by a 51-1 shot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't love her losing to a horse that pays over $100. But again, I always feel like you have to point this out. These turf races in November, sort of end of the year in New York, they can produce some really wacky results. The turf courses are almost never firm, even if they're listed as firm. This long shot got out to the early lead in this race, and you can see Dance Macabre just can't make up enough ground at the end. I didn't want to hold that one against her. Like you, I really liked her win 2 starts back. I thought she ran great in there. And I just appreciate how versatile and tactical she's become, Dan. You can take her back and she'll really fire. If the pace is slower, she'll sit right up close. She'll still fire. I think she's better than she looks on paper.
Freedom Speaks, the number 6, is cross-entered in Wednesday's Honorable Miss on Dirt. You can make the argument that she's better on turf and synthetic, and she got a prep race off a lengthy layoff last time out over the Tapeta at Woodbine. She was just outrun in the early part of that race. She obviously, I think, needed it off the layoff. This is a very ambitious spot, though, for the second race back.
Yeah, it is. I'm assuming, though, that these connections think that she needed that one off the layoff and that she's going to run a lot better now because they've got her entered in a really tough dirt race on Wednesday, and they've got her entered in this race, which is also really tough. So, listen, again, she's a wild card in here. I prefer on this surface, and I think she does have a race and a running style that will give her a real chance in here.
Run for the Hills, the number 7, moves dirt to turf. She got washed off last time out at the Spa. Didn't matter. She scored on the main track. She was no match for the top 3 in the Intercontinental 2-back, Mike. But watching that race, it's not like there were really any late closers making up a lot of ground. Was she compromised by the race flow?
Yeah, I thought she was. I actually felt like she ran a really underrated race that day. They took a hold of her. She got shuffled all the way back up the backstretch in there, was never in position to run. And I actually feel like she did some good things through the stretch with absolutely no chance. She's back quickly here after, Cassie just left her in that off the turf race last time. She won easily. She's a player in this race, Dan. I think she's going to be a good price in here, and I'm using her.
Trainer Christophe Clement has Roses for Deborah. He also trains the 8 Don't Look Back at All, coming into here off of a win against Pennsylvania bred competition. Now, she's 1-5 in here. She sat right off the early leader. She's very confidently handled, and eventually she'll surge on past. The pace wasn't fast. She just inhales this horse.
Yeah, she's been good, though. I think she's just, really much improved this year. She started getting better towards the end of last year, and now she's come back this year with 3 really strong performances. She's a handy, tactical kind of horse. Does she have to improve again to beat this field? She probably does, but she's in good form right now.
2-month layoff for the number 9 Zeitlos going out for Steve Asmussen. This one's won, 5 of her last 6 starts, all of those races on dirt. She's only started once previously on turf, and that was over this race, the quirky Kentucky Downs surface. It was a first-level allowance. She kind of made a big move into contention, Mike, and then ends up running second.
Yeah, just settles for second here. She runs okay in this race. It's 6.5. She's going to, in a long stretch, she's going to get to go shorter this time, which probably works to her advantage. I don't know. I like her dirt form, Dan. I'm not sold particularly that she's going to be as good or better on turf, and I think she's going to have to be better on turf.
As we see her close it down in there to finish second. Roses for Deborah is the number 10. Roses for Deborah's got plenty of fast races on turf, and she's a very understandable favorite in here. When Clement got her, she reeled off 4 consecutive wins on the turf. Then they caught just a yielding ground in the Turf Monster. Don't hold that race against her. And then you don't hold the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint against her, against some real tough competition. She's come back well this year. I thought she had a good trip when she won the Giants Causeway, but she fired in the stretch, and we saw the Intercontinental. It was a good performance. She'll be in with a big chance. Turning for Home's the horse to beat.
Absolutely. She's the horse to beat again. It's all about what price you want to take on her this time, Dan, when she's in against a horse who just beat her, it feels like, on the square last time. And again, we talked about the Intercontinental. I don't know. She got a good trip in there. I thought she had every chance to win, and I did not see her excuse at 1-2. She'll be a short price again. She doesn't have to win here.
If there is a scratch, the 11-star Guest would get in for Charlie Appleby and Godolphin. Those connections speak for themselves. The successes they've had in North America, especially at Saratoga the last few years. She wasn't facing the creme de la creme over there, but she was facing good enough company, and her races make her a strong threat here.
Yeah, it seems like they only, recently figured out that she's better sprinting than she is going longer. And once they cut her back, she got really good. Really, she has real handy speed too. And I like that about her short races over there. She sits up close in hand and she really sprints through the stretch.
Rest of the field entered main track only, so they only get in if you're washed off of the turf. Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for the Caress on Thursday at the Spa. Dance Macabre from Off the Pace, Mike. You're going to have to deal with a lengthy layoff, but she seems to fire every time.
It's going to be a good price in here. And I don't think she's overmatched by these horses necessarily, Dan. So I just wanted to try her. Future is now, Roses for Deborah. This is, the Godolphin Appleby horse notwithstanding, who's not in. But the two favorites, I'm not way against them, but I wanted to bet somebody else in here. I like Dance Macabre. I think she's underrated. I'll take a shot.
Now, she certainly has a chance in here if she's ready off the layoff and gets the right kind of trip from Off the Pace. I wonder if Future Is Now can do it again, and I wonder if the people believe. I still think they're going to go back to Dance Macabre, and Future Is Now might end up the second choice if the AE doesn't get in. 5-10-7-3 for Mike, 3-10-4-5 for me in the Caress. It's Thursday's race of the day at Saratoga. Good luck.